Hey, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how I built this mudroom bench for my house. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching. To start off, I always have Home Depot cut my sheets into manageable sizes so that when I get home, I can easily maneuver them on my table saw. The first thing I do when I get home is cut out all my pieces. If you're interested in the plans, I have attached them to this video. So if you're interested, please check them out with the link below. And what I'm doing here is just using a router to round over some edges. All of these edges will be visible, so I want to make sure they're nice and rounded off. Next thing I did was install the braces on the sides of the bench. I just attached this to the 2x4s of the wall and then go ahead and install the bench itself. For this kind of project, you can either use a 16 or 18 gauge nailer. In this video, I'm using just an 18 gauge and screws to install all of the parts here. And here I am just dividing up each section of the bench with some more supports, and then it also allows for these little cubbies to be built. And then I'm just using my 18 gauge nailer with some glue to install all of these little supports. And then of course reinstall the baseboard to help those supports stay level. The one thing you want to make sure while you're doing this is to make sure that everything is square and everything is level. And then of course when you start to create the support for hanging coats and the second level of shelving, you're going to want to make sure you either screw this in or nail it in really well with multiple nails. Probably best to use a 16 gauge nail gun, but one thing is you just need to make sure you hit the studs on this. You don't want this shelf to come crashing down. And then of course I'm using wood glue and then putting on the shelf. And then of course I'm going to come back through and nail it with that 18 gauge nailer. Sorry, the video quality's kind of crappy here. I must have zoomed in too far, but I'm essentially just going around and nailing all the way around. And then just like the bench and the first shelf, you're going to nail in those supports. Like I said before, number one thing is just make sure you hit those studs with your nails. If you're really worried about it, you can beef it up with some construction screws or 16 gauge nails. And then, of course, I'm using wood glue to secure all of the shelving to the supports, along with the 18 gauge nails. You can pick up a cheap stud finder to help you locate all of those studs. Just make sure that you're not hitting anything important like wiring or plumbing that would be behind a wall. Double check, make sure that there's not any plumbing in the wall that you're going to be nailing into. In my case, this is a new build and we took pictures of all of the walls before the sheetrock was up, so I know exactly what is behind every single wall in my house. And for the second shelf, you're just going to repeat the same steps of the first shelf. You're just going to make sure everything's square before you nail it in. Use wood glue and then nail or screw it in. And basically you're going to keep doing the same steps for however many shelves you have. This is my second shelf, but I have some dividing it into two because I'm going to make this into some cabinets with some doors on it. So just like before, you're just going to repeat the steps. After you get everything installed, you're going to want to start caulking all of the seams and all of the edges. In my case, my wall had a little bit of a bow in it, so I got this backer rod. And you just shove it into the crack, and then you can caulk right over it. So after you're done caulking all of your seams, you're going to want to start building your face frames for your cabinets. And what I do is I just get some pine. If I'm going to be painting the project, pine is perfectly fine. I use the Select Pine from Home Depot. And then I cut all of the horizontal pieces first, and then glue, and then nail, and then I cut all the vertical pieces. You're definitely going to want to make sure you use glue for the face frames, especially if you're going to be adding doors to these cabinets. Here I am just adding some extra trim pieces that I had in the shop to give that board and batten look. And then of course the doors, and all I did for the doors was get some 1/2 inch MDF with some 1/4 inch MDF and glued it together to give this shaker style look. I will tell you that I did this wrong the first time. I wouldn't do the vertical pieces and then the horizontal pieces, because as you'll see here is sometimes it's hard to get them in there, so I had to actually cut them perfectly to size. If you're going to do it this way, I would do the vertical piece and then a horizontal piece, then the vertical, and then the last horizontal piece. And then of course you're going to want to paint it whatever color you want, and then add the hardware and install the doors, and just like that you have a brand new mudroom bench with some storage above. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it below, and always thanks for watching.